Maverick 100.9 Aggie Lands Country Alternative. It's Corliss. Get to meet a new gal pal today. I've got Krislyn Arthurs on with me. Hi, Krislyn.
Hi, how are you?
I'm wonderful. It's been so fun getting to know you and see how much we have in common. And we're like little neighbor girls. I've kind of lived all around you. You're from Oklahoma.
I am.
And you know what's funny is this year, I have not heard from as many of my Oklahoma peeps. I don't know why everybody over in Oklahoma is getting quiet on me all of a sudden.
Oh, really? Maybe I need to shake him and wake him up.
I guess so, but you're coming right out of the gate in the new year with a brand new single. You have released Dead of Night to us. Tell me a little bit about Dead of Night.
So, Dead of Night, I wrote 5 years ago after watching a movie. Of all things, I was watching a movie called Queen and Slim. If you haven't watched it, it's fantastic.
I haven't, but I'm always looking
like
for movie recommendations.
It is so good. It's like the modern day Bonnie and Clyde. And they were actually just on their first date and then had something happen. And the story just goes on from there. But I was listening to the soundtrack. And my husband was laying on the couch, and I turned and I looked at him after the movie was over, and I said, I'll be right back. I went into, at that time, I didn't even have a studio. I was just playing in a bedroom. I went and shut the door, and he could hear me playing, and he's like, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm writing a song. Just give me a second. And I wrote the song, and then I had him come in 15 minutes later after I started writing the song, and he's like, oh, that's good. He's like, what made you want to start writing that? And I said, well, I was listening to the soundtrack and there were no females, no badass females playing any soundtrack. So I was like, I know I can write a song like that. And maybe one of these days it'll end up in a movie. If not, I hope it empowers women like it did me. And in my mind, when I was writing the song, the woman was the bad influence. And, it's always a lot of the times it's reversed. A lot of the men are the bad influence on women getting in trouble and causing. And I'm a little bit of a hellraiser, and I used to be a troublemaker back in the day, and
I may know a little bit about that. Maybe.
My mom tried, but my dad tried harder, But anyways, when I actually went to the studio to record the song, I was just like at a really low point in my life. I almost didn't want to record it. I didn't feel like I was in the right mind space. But when I recorded this song, I sat on it for over a year before I decided, okay, I'm going to release it now. And I just kind of channeled who I was through this song. And as crazy as it seems, I went through kind of an identity crisis where I didn't know who I wanted to be as an artist or who these people needed to know me as Krislyn Arthurs. People knew my name, they knew my music, they knew I was a songwriter. They didn't actually know who Krislyn Arthurs was. And I think Dead of Night really helped me figure out who I truly was. I'm not, and I don't want anybody to take offense to this, but I'm not a pretty country singer. I am edgy and raw and gut punching, and I want to share my personal stories and struggles that are relatable in everybody else's everyday lives.
Well, that's also the difference in being an independent country artist is there is no one, putting makeup on your legs before a show and telling you what to record and to write and whatnot. You get to live your truth through this industry.
Yep. And a lot of people think a record label is the end all be all, but I know so many artists.
It's the end for sure.
have left and have become very successful as independent artists. I mean, Claire Dunn, she left her label and moved back home, and she has been happier and more successful and creative. And I think that's what it is for me. People have asked, well, now that you're doing music full time, are you moving to Nashville? And I tell them, I was like, hell no, I'm going to Texas.
Right.
But
if I'm going anywhere, it's south, not to the side, man.
But it's just, I feel like as an independent, I have gotten to express so much of my creativity and be completely transparent with I hate calling them fans, my supporters, and basically my family, because I wouldn't have my career if it weren't for the people that have jumped on board and fully supported my career, whether it was from day one or even yesterday or today. It's, I just want people to truly see who I am in a sense through my music.
I love it. Well, this is raw, it's real, and it's coming at you on Maverick 100.9, the debut of Krislyn Arthurs and Dead of Night. Due to copyright, Brian Broadcasting is not licensed to air this single for you in podcast form, but you can now find it anywhere that you stream and download music. And today's interview continues now. Krislyn Arthurs, Dead of Night on Maverick 100.9. I am so excited to have Krislyn with me. And we were chatting about this was a long process just making this song alone. I mean, you started writing it 5 years ago, recorded it a year ago. Now it's out to everyone. I know you and I have talked a little bit about the struggle. It's kind of real, and you yourself have experienced the really, really highs and the good stuff, but you've also kind of experienced the lows. Tell me a little bit about what keeps bringing you back to this.
So, we're talking about my career?
Yeah.
So when I was 17 years old, I became a mom.
Really?
Yes. So I was actually a sophomore in high school when I became a mama. And, everybody, I'm from a real small town, and I actually had teachers tell me, your life is over. And I had a coach one time tell me how disappointed she was in me. And I said, well, join the club because it's here.
Right?
So I channeled a lot of that negative energy, and I wanted to be the best mom that I could for my little girl, and even still. So I didn't start pursuing a career until I met my husband. We moved in together, and we had been together for a long time. And he knew that I sacrificed so much just to make this little girl's life as best as I could. And, he told me, he goes, you have a gift and you need to show people. And I channeled all that, and I said, I'm going to use this as a teaching purpose for my daughter, that no matter what happens in your life, no matter what life throws you, if you want something bad enough, you go and get it, and you will make it work one way or another. And she has been my whole reason and purpose for continuing everything, because I look back and I'm like, gosh, if I quit now, I'm teaching her to be a quitter.
Right. And you've also shown her, just by marrying your husband alone, you've also shown her what support looks like, what family is supposed to look like. I know so many, especially independent artists, that get no family support, no spousal support, which I could not relate. I could at one point in time in my life. I was married to a man that wanted nothing to do with what I had going on. And I feel like my life didn't start until I lost him. And then it begun. Now I have a husband that is my absolute biggest fan.
Yep. And that's, my husband's like, no, this is about you. This is about you. Don't talk about me. But I literally wouldn't have a career if he wouldn't have opened before my studio, opened my door and said, I booked your first show. That was on a Monday. My first show was on a Friday. And we never looked back. He went and bought me the crappiest little PA we could find just on short notice. And he tried to figure out how to run it. And he has just pushed me every step of the way when I feel so low, and when I've been high in the highs of, life. And then it's just like, he's always been the constant.
Yeah.
And he'll be like, don't say anything about me. But, and that's people that have gotten to know us. They say, God, you have such a awesome support system. And I'm so grateful for him. And I'm not going to get all ooey gooey mushy because I'll cry, but
right. I know what you mean.
It's incredible. And I'm so blessed to have the husband that I have.
Well, and we can even, account that to the highs. You did get back to recording. You have been putting out music now for quite some time.
Yep. 2021. Was it 2020 or 2021 when my first single came out? And that was when we're like, okay, we've been doing this for a long time and people were wanting music. So maybe we should give them one. And I put out my very first single. It's called Sip. It's on all streaming platforms if you want to check it out. And it was like magic. And I wrote it 2 days before the studio, and I looked at my husband and I said, you know, the original song I sent the studio, I said, I don't think we're going to record that one. And he goes, oh my gosh, you already sent it to them. And I said, no, I think we're going to do this one. And he was like, okay. And it's just, after we got music out, we realized that there was something special, and there was no slowing down. I needed to take my career to the next level. I didn't know how to do it, and my husband didn't know how to do it, but we're not afraid of no. And he banged on every door, and I banged on every door, and slowly those doors are opening after 7 years. And I'm forever grateful for everybody who listens to my music, who, you know, radio for playing these 2 singles that I've released to radio. I'm so appreciative and thankful.
I love your confidence. Like, you know, you and I were talking before we listened to your single that, you know, Dead of Night was kind of this discovery of yourself. But meeting you and talking to you right now, you clearly have found out who that is now. Mm-hmm. And that is such a cool thing to see, because I think it set, you know, we were just talking about setting examples for daughters. This sets the example for everyone. First of all, your time is never up. It is never too late to just figure out who you are. Or my favorite Dolly quote is always, figure out who you are and do it on purpose. Be that person on purpose, and you'll be the happiest you've ever been.
And I feel like my music has reflected on it, and I've never been happier and more comfortable in my skin. Like when I go out and play shows and people come up to me, and even my artist friends that have known me since I started, they're like, yeah, the black hair, that's you. This whole new Krislyn, this is you. And they can just see the difference of who I've become. And I was actually this whole person when I was in junior high, before this edgy alternative girl was cool. And I used to get picked on all the time because I'm from a farm town and I had purple hair and black hair and colored skinny jeans. But I've always loved country music and knew I wanted to do something in country music. And I made it a career, and here we go.
I'm so glad you did. And I'm so glad you came to meet me here today. Everybody, this is Krislyn Arthurs that I'm chatting with. You can find her music everywhere. Maybe even give her a little follow, because there may be some more coming on the way.
Maybe.
Well, I know for sure that I hope I hear more from you. So just a humongous thank you for coming and sharing your heart here on Maverick.
Well, I really appreciate you inviting me in and getting the opportunity to visit with me and talk about my music. I've really enjoyed getting to catch up, and I'll see you in March.
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you at the T3R then.